In Apple, uh, the brands built their trust with the customer uh, through years of uh, major market spending. And so being a large company had big advantages because you had the scale and spending power of a large organization.
Right.
Now it's quite different. We're now in an era where customers are becoming very smart. Data is becoming king. Smart data and smart customers shifts the balance of power from trust being in the hands of the large companies to trust being in the hands of the customers. And what that means is that customers will pay more attention to what other customers have to say about the product,
Right.
in terms of how they rate it, what they think of the service, looking around and seeing, are your friends using it, things of that sort. And with the age group that we're targeting, while it's called a smartphone, in reality it's an anomaly because nobody makes phone calls anymore.
Right.
In that age group. There is no voice calls.
Right.
It's all texting,
Yes.
messaging, sharing pictures, things of that sort. So we're very focused on the social media aspects of it, and very focused on the things that people do when they're connected to each other. And with young people, it's really a cultural instrument. It's not a telephone. And as a cultural instrument, it's with them all day long. They're in constant in touch with people, and so we intend to build our brand really with our customers building the brand. And we won't be showing our creative until the probably late September, early October time frame. But we're very, very excited about it. I've been doing marketing for a long time, and this is outstanding creative.
So you think you'll be doing something different from others, like you talked about Xiaomi, and it's not only Xiaomi, but there are other players who are coming through only online
Yeah.
e-commerce companies like Motorola is there and Oppo as
Sure.
they entered. So what I mean, what makes you confident that you will be selling differently in the market, and you won't be using e-commerce markets and selling
Well,
to only distribution?
we're not starting with e-commerce. Um, we have nothing against e-commerce. I've got 12 companies in the States, and they're all in one form or other involved with
Right,
e-commerce.
right.
So it's a domain we have a lot of expertise in. But we're very pragmatic, and the reality is that e-commerce is very small in India, even though the Indian market for mobile devices is very large. I suspect if there's going to be a leader initially in e-commerce, it's going to be Xiaomi. It's not going to be us. It's going to be someone who comes in with a major reputation for that. But this market is large enough to absorb probably a half dozen strong brands. There may be more than a half dozen, but I'm talking about really strong, very valuable businesses. And I've learned from experience that you need to focus. You can't boil the ocean. When you try to do too many things, you never achieve as much as if you stay very focused. So we're incredibly focused, which doesn't mean that other people won't be successful in other strategies. But
Right.
for us, we have a very focused strategy, and it's youth, it's getting the customer to build the brand, to have really unique creative. When I was at Pepsi, we had unique creative with the Pepsi Challenge and Pepsi Generation. It was all about experience marketing. At Apple, we launched Apple's original marketing, and Apple's always had unique creative. And so I'm very confident that if you have strong creative marketing, that can become a sustainable advantage, whereas features in a commodity technology industry is hard to build a long-term relationship with people because somebody always has a new feature. And at the high end of the market where there is innovation, let's take Apple for example, that's a totally different game. I mean, they're spending several $billion on research and development. Their products are incredibly innovative, but if you lag that by maybe 9 months, the technology commoditizes so fast
Right.
that you can bring it many of those same things out. And for our market, being the most innovative in technology is not, we believe, the key to success.
So these 65 distributors, how many of them are in?
I didn't say 65 distributors, I said 65
outlets or
aftermarket service centers.
So how about the distributors? How many distributors do you have to?
We haven't given the number out, but it's enough to have nationwide coverage.
All this, is it the well-known names or some local?
No. These are all.
Which are the ones? Can you name these?
No.
Reliance and all this.
Someone could. I can't. Yeah.
Okay.
You're asking the wrong. I don't run the company.
Okay. So, but how do you plan to manage the company here and the operations?
Well, first of all, I'm not running the company.
Right.
And we have a CEO here. We hired the top 20 people from Micromax. So we brought in a team that already had experience. And so we have a CEO in India. He reports to our inflection point Asia CEO in Singapore, who is my partner. And we have a full management team from that standpoint. But I'm not part of the management. I don't have an operating job.
But how much are you investing?
We've only given out one number, and that was $20 million initially.
Have you already invested this much,
yes.
or are you going to do it by?
No, we're pretty much there, and it doesn't mean we won't invest more, but
But so far you have already invested this much, 20 million.
Well,
it's in the process.
By the end of this year.
By the end of this
year.
Yeah. And which are the products, or which price bracket will you play in for? In the Indian market,
we're in the price bracket in U.S. dollars, which is under $100 U.S. Up to a little over $200 on that price bracket. So that would compare with, say, Apple, which would be about $800.
And same for the investment and need base. You have enough funds to.
We have whatever funds we need to do anything we want to do, but we're not foolish. If something is not succeeding, we're just not going to keep pouring money behind it.
Right. On the product side, as your focus is around 20 million people, India's half of the population is, I think, now under between 20 and 30. So they are the main, kind of consumers also for smartphones. But every day, as the technology is changing, they also need, they're experiencing with new things.
Yes.
So what kind of new features or new apps are you building around them? For example, WhatsApp, when it came in, BBM
Sure.
got kind of vanished, and
Well, when
Facebook came, all could
you're absolutely correct. You know the industry well. If you go back 3 years ago, BBM was it, right? And then WhatsApp and Line and WeChat.
Now something called Like also started by Airtel, you can send offline messages to the feature phones, something like that.
So this is an industry where there's going to be constant innovation. We don't have to do it all. So if we, of course, we're going to work with people like WhatsApp and others. But if we see things that someone else has innovated that we can partner with, we'll be right there. To try to guess which applications people are going to want would be not something I would want to bet my money on. We're not smart enough to do that. Okay. We have to watch carefully and see what our customers like, see how people are using the phones, and we'll learn a lot. You learn so much from your customers. So we're just not smart enough to try to anticipate all the ways people are going to use it.
But will you be acquiring any technology or company, which you think would be best to serve your sales?
Only if we thought it was valuable to us, because at least we're starting from the position that we don't need to acquire a technology. This is not a technology play. A smartphone has a lot of technology in it, but we don't look at it as a technology business. The business we're in is really not about technology. It's about marketing and sales. And so if partnering with a technology company, or if we even have to acquire technology companies, I'm co-owner of 12 technology companies in the States, so we're very comfortable in the technology world. But it doesn't mean that we're going to go out and buy a technology company when we think this is basically a sales and marketing challenge.
You will never think of manufacturing here in India?
When it's practical, but it's not practical today. I mean, how could we come to India to manufacture when there's no ecosystem of components? You know, if you solve the ecosystem of components, we're happy to manufacture here.
How about future generation products apart from smartphone? There are a lot of Internet of Things, wearable devices.
No, that's not what we're focused on. I mean, I have another company, Misfit, where we have a big team of software engineers in Beijing, data scientists in Vietnam. We're very big player in China, and we do wearable products and data analytics and things of that sort. But it's still a tiny market. It's still early days in the wearables market. And maybe Apple will change it with the iWatch. We'll see. But again, we're not a technology company. We're a sales and marketing company.